Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. May I ask our guests to please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. We begin this session with dancers from from Kalash. They are supposed to have come there with Alexander, and I asked them, they said, yes, our elders did come with him, but whether they came from Greece or they joined him, we do not know. And my next question to them was, do they have this kind of a dance in that part of the world? They said, not exactly like this, but somewhat similar. So ladies and gentlemen, from Kalash, you have the Kalash dancers. They will give you three dances in brief. All three dances are the harvest dance. कर लें, जल्दी कर लें अगर करना है आपने तो. मौसन, बहुत जल्दी करवा लें. चलो छोड़ दें अब. हेलो. शुक्रिया. शुक्रिया. Ladies and gentlemen, may I now request Mr. Jahangir Siddiqui, Chairman, Endowment Fund Trust, to welcome the Chief Minister, Sayyid Murad Ali Shah, to this gathering. Jahangir Siddiqui.
Sayyid Murad Ali Shah, Chief Minister of Sindh, galaxy of scholars and historians who have honored us by their participation, Mr. Akbar Zaidi, distinguished guests, Assalamu alaikum. It is my pleasure and honor to welcome you all to this conference on Alexander in the Indus Valley. Sayyid Murad Ali Shah, during the bricklaying ceremony of the restoration of the 7th fort on 15th January 2022, desired that an international conference be held highlighting Alexander's sojourn in the Indus Valley and Sevan. Today, he is opening this conference. It is an effort to raise awareness of Alexander's expedition here and the significance of Sevan Fort. The Endowment Fund Trust has been working on restoration of the Sevan Fort since last year, based on the report of the excavations which were initiated by the first French mission led by Dr. Monique Carvaran. The artifacts found by them will be placed in the Sevan Museum, which will be supported with the support of Sayyid Sardar Ali Shah, Minister for Culture, will be established at 7. Which will be, culture at 7. We have also been working with local stakeholders in trying to raise awareness about 7, Pakistan's extant town, and the need to preserve the fabric of its built heritage. The time Alexander spent in the Indus Valley began around 323 BC and is relatively brief, a mere 2.5 years compared to his campaign elsewhere. In terms of cultural sentiment, Alexander's time in the Indus Valley is regarded as being mostly favorable. His mention has made its way into folklore, literature, and song, which endure even today. This immortal enigma, also referred to as Lord of Two Horns, Iskandar Zulkarnain, applied to him since post-classical and medieval time, clearly not connected with the source of the term Zulkarnain Two-Horn in the Quran. Much has been debated regarding the legitimacy of Alexander being the two-horned Messiah. Ladies and gentlemen, let me also thank Mr. Akbar Zaidi, IBA Chief Minister's Secretariat, Commissioners of Hyderabad, Mohata Palace, and my colleagues at the EFT, especially Mr. Hamid Akhund, for making this conference possible. Thank you.
I don't know, the Minister of Culture was expected for the last 10 minutes, being told he's here. If he's here, may I request him to welcome the Chief Minister, Sayyid Sardar Ali Shah. May I request the Chief Minister of Sindh, Sayyid Murad Ali Shah, for his presidential remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, it is due to his interest, which he announced last year at Seman, that there should be a cultural conference. It should be a conference highlighting Alexander and Sevan. Ladies and gentlemen, Sayyid Murad Ali Shah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Our host, Mr. Jahangir Siddiqui, Mr. Hamid Haroon, Khadim Ali Shah Sahab, Justice Durrani Sahab, Governor Sahab, Mazrul Haq Siddiqui Sahab, Professor Akbar Zaidi, distinguished Vice Chancellors, our esteemed guests who are visiting Pakistan for this conference, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. I was given a written speech, but it was so difficult that I said I'm definitely going to make so many mistakes, I'm going to make a laughing stock of myself here. So I'm not going to read out from that speech. Start off, I welcome all of you on behalf of the Government of Sindh, on behalf of the people of Sindh, especially the visiting scholars who've come for this conference. I belong to the town of Sevan. I'm elected from there. My village is about 15 kilometers. I've got two villages, one towards the west of Sevan, the other to the north of Sevan, each about 15 kilometers away from Sevan. So Sevan is the center of my family, of my activity. The Sevan obviously is famous for Hazrat Lal Shahbaz Qalandar, the Sufi saint, and what they say is that there is no one custodian of this mazar of Hazrat Lal Shahbaz Qalandar. If there was one, this would definitely be the largest, have the largest disciples and followers, and he'd probably be stronger than all the various peers and murshids that we see nowadays. And our family historically also has a small share in the proceeds of Sevan, which our forefathers forego and we're navigating. The Endowment Fund Trust came and said that we want to renovate, rehabilitate, and bring back the glory of the Sevan Fort. This was some time back. Mr. Hamid Harun, Mr. Hamid Akhund met me, and about 2 years ago, we went there and we inaugurated the restoration of the fort. I'm very happy with what is being done. And at that time, we said, let's do a seminar where we invite international scholars to talk about Sevan Sharif, to talk about Alexander the Great and his voyages into Sindh. Alexander the Great is remembered for his military actions. What we've not done, and because there's a lack of archives on him, we do not have much information on the cultural change that he made when he spent his 2 years here in the Indus civilization, traveling from the north to the south and back to Persia. And I believe that with the scholars that we have here today, with this initiative, we are going to learn about the cultural effects that Alexander's sojourn into the Indus Valley. As I said, I'm happy with the work that is being done by the Endowment Trust Fund. And I hope that the purpose of renovation of forts so that we can make Sevan once again. History of Sevan, we still do not know where the name Sevan came from. Some people talk about that it's as old. It was named after one of the sons of Adam. Others talk about the grandson of Noah, Hazrat Nuh. Then we talk about and call it Shivastan, after a Hindu. So we actually do not know the history of Sindh, but we know that it's probably the oldest place or the oldest civilization that we have in this part of the world or anywhere. If we are linking it back to Hazrat Adam alayhi salam and his son, then definitely it is. So I hope that the scholars here, the scholars who've come over, the scholars in Pakistan, would trace the path of Alexander the Great, would look at his not only his military endeavors but his the changes that he's made culturally, and inshallah bring us a document which would fill the gaps that we have in our history. I once again thank the Endowment Fund Trust for inviting me here today, for holding this conference. I hope that all the participants will have a great conference and inshallah ta'ala would enjoy not only this conference but the city of Karachi. I believe, I don't know if we are making a trip down to Sevan or not. We are. So I'll try and join you. I don't promise because of the various commitments that I have nowadays, but I'll try and join you for that visit and spend some time with you there. Once again, I thank all of you for being here today and welcome you on behalf of the government and the people of Sindh. Thank you very much. Pakistan Zindabad.
Thank you, Sain. I would now request Hamid Harun to thank the Chief Minister and our guests on behalf of the Endowment Fund Trust. Hamid is the Managing Trustee.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chief Minister, visiting scholars from other cities in Pakistan and from other countries in the world. It's unenviable to be the concluding note in a long series of acknowledgements on a formal agenda. The Chief Minister of Sindh, who is both bright and dynamic, has been a little naughty with his text. He is from a younger generation than me, but I can promise you one thing. His excitement when he moved to decide on the Alexander Fort at Severn and its restoration, possible recreation, reclamation of site, and further investigations was exceedingly high. And why Alexander? Why is Murad Ali Shah so interested in Alexander? I think it's a little more than that. There is a particular complex of circumstances that surround Severn. And Murad Ali Shah, being a local town boy, is certainly part of that sentiment. Severn is, of course, the site of the shrine of Usman Marwandi, Qalandar Shahbaz, and is hugely important. As the chairman, Jahangir Siddiqui, would have told you, the EFT and Mohatta have both tried to work on rebuilding the complex of strands that surround any investigation into Severn's past. Severn is important not just because of Alexander, it's important as an early semi-urban, urban shrine town as an entity, but even more than that, there is an earlier identity with the hinterland in prehistoric times. It is some of the richest prehistoric hinterland in the area of Pakistan around it, and there are sites littered around Severn which link in the Kohistan, which link the Indus Valley civilization and, of course, the Piedmont of Mehergarh. All the transitional sites are there. I think that reopening I think when the Chief Minister settled on the Alexander Fort option, he was not just being a local boy, he was interested in re-excavating this past. I think that the earlier scholars who came on Severn to investigate its material culture as a medieval town, its placement in the context of trade relations, cultural relations in the Kohistan of Sindh, was something that was palpably exciting. But at the same time, I think there are realities we have to face. There was a collapse of the shrine, which was such an important part of Severn, and the modern reconstituted shrine, with due apologies to the Chief Minister, it's not been his direct responsibility, is a poor attempt to bring out what the shrine was. This lithograph by Edwards, I still remember after the collapse of the shrine, when these tiles from the outer parts of the shrine were thrown on the dust heap. So I think the Chief Minister is trying to reverse the trend of what we have lost in Severn, to try and recapture what is important. And the reclamation of the Alexander Fort, first the physical evacuation of those who are in occupation of part of its land, and secondly, reconstituting the walls and battlements, will be a major contribution towards creating the kind of site which is dedicated to Alexander, which is dedicated to prehistory, which is dedicated to the medieval history of Severn. So I would like to thank the Chief Minister. I'd like to thank Akbar Zaidi for his continuing interest in the interface of history and culture, the level of humanities he has injected into the IBA, to Chairman Jahangir Siddiqui, and of course to the indefatigable Secretary of the Trust, Hamida Khund, who is valuable for the preservation of Sindh's past. Thank you, visitors and scholars, for coming to Karachi.
Thank you, Amit. We'll wind up this session by requesting Sardar Ali Shah, Minister for Culture, to kindly thank the Chief Minister and other guests on behalf of the Department of Culture. He has been a good friend and always very helpful.
I'm sorry, it's very inappropriate to speak after my Chief Minister. But again, on the instance of Akhund Saab, on behalf of Culture Department, I welcome Chief Minister and I welcome the international participants, research and scholars who are participating in this conference. And I thank you all and welcome you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Shah Sahab. Thank you, Sayyid Murad Ali Shah and other guests. We now have a lunch break. Our guests were invited to join us for lunch here. The delegates will be taken to 5th floor for lunch. Thank you.